Hello and welcome to this new section called Digitizing the Core in this course on excellence in digital strategy. In this section, what we will do is we'll help you understand how to digitize the core of a business to build excellence in formulation and implementation of a winning digital strategy. And there are three questions that we will answer. Why should you digitize the core? What exactly is digitizing the core and how to go about and digitize the core. So let's look at why digitize core. Let's start by looking at digitizing the core and answer these three questions that we have, right? So the question I have for you is why digitize the core? The core is core of the business. Any business has a core, main businesses, products, services, customers who deliver you the major profitability or 80% of your business in terms of profitable volumes. So why digitize the core? Any thoughts? So there was this study done by MIT Sloan School of Management, and they looked at the question what that was facing in front of them is what causes the superior returns in the industry in terms of the industry average net margins, and they mapped a large number of companies on two dimensions. One in terms of the companies who have transformed the customer experience, the digitally transformed versus traditional, and similarly, the operational experience who have done the transformation, who have become digital from a traditional business. And they found that the companies who had transformed themselves in terms of customer experience and operational experience from traditional to digital were 16%, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 16% higher net margin. Now, there were companies who had operationally transformed, but not customer-wise, customer experience-wise, and they were only 4.6%. So even between the companies that has done both versus only the operational experience, there was a significant difference. And the companies who did neither of them were actually minus 5.1%, and only customer experience was minus 3.6%. That is 3.6% lower than the industry average. So that gives us the answer of why digitize the core. So the digitizing the core it helps us transform both the customer and operational experience, customer experience and operational performance from a traditional way to a digital way. And that is what will give you a industry average margin higher than average industry. So so if you want to build a superior performance compared to industry, the answer is in digitizing the core. So let us now look at what is digitizing the core. And we talked about the core. Core is the core of your business, the business that you could look at and say has given you 80-85% of your profit contribution, of your net profit and revenues as well. So what is digitizing the core? See, first, digitizing the core, let us understand, is a end-to-end approach. We have been doing process improvements, process reengineering over many decades. So this is not limited to automating those processes. People think digitizing the core is automating the processes. Now, this is not limited to that. Automating the processes is one part of that, but it is about completely redesigning, rethinking how the value is delivered to the end users of your business. It's about customer journey. It's about customer journey, and if it is, you look at it basically is a shift of mind from the process to customer journey. So only looking at the process, you have to look at the customer journey, the step-by-step experience the customer goes through by using the product and service, right from inquiry to after-sales service. And it is not about one journey. It's not only one product, one journey. It is about dozens of journey for different products, channels, type of customers. And what is the core of this digitizing the core? What is the center? Is the customer centricity is the key. If you are customer centric, then you will be able to digitize the core better than others and definitely earn superior returns compared to others in your industry. So how can you develop a great end-to-end digital customer journey? Any thoughts on that? See, the answer lies in this well-known methodology called design thinking. The design thinking provides you a very, so as to say that the word that is used here is a compelling framework. It's a very powerful framework for you to redesign, reimagine your customer journey with customer being at the center of attention and you being customer centric. This design thinking process is iterative. You can't do it in one time. It's flexible. It's focused on collaboration between you as a designer or your team as a designer and the users, and basically consists of 5 steps. You start with empathizing. You understand, you empathize what the customers want. You define what you need to improve. You ideate how can you improve that. You prototype it. You test it, and then the iteration continues. So that's the broad process of how can you develop a great end-to-end digital customer journey. So let's look at the first step. The first step gives you as a designer empathetic understanding of the customer problem that they're trying to solve. So obviously, any customer journey will have some customer problems. So first thing is to understand the customer problem, the customer need, the moments of truth where customer says either aha or say, oh, I did need this kind of problem to happen. So that's the first state of empathizing, in which you as a company or you as a designer understand what are the needs of the customer, specifically the problem areas and the moments of truth where it is an important problem area. The next step is your team analyzes the observation from the first step and you synthesize them. You synthesize in the form of you reframe the problem, you define what needs to be solved, what is the current unmet need, what is the customer's problem, and what would you need to solve to make it a win-win situation. The third, having defined the problem that you want to solve in the design thinking process, the third step is to find new solutions. So you need to ideate. You need to identify new solutions. You need to anticipate reactions. And like this, you figure out many, many ideas that can possibly solve the customer problem and make the customer happier than what he or she is today. The fourth stage is about developing multiple minimum viable products. The products, prototypes that can solve the problems identified in line with the ideas that you have created. Now, it's an iterative, experimented process, and the emphasis is not on finding the perfect solution or perfectly good product, but on a minimum viable product. And a minimum viable product is a product that meets one or two or three maximum the key customer requirements, key problems that needs to be sorted, the most important ones to begin with. And that's the fourth step. The last step is in testing the prototype that you have developed using a trial and error method in real life environment, and you evaluate the customer journey again. So you started with empathizing, asking what the problem is, and now you go back to the same customer or similar customers, present the prototype that and you test and see whether it is making an impact. Is it solving the problem? To what extent? What are the problems that are solved? What are still not solved, and what needs to be addressed? And it is a trial and error process. These 5 steps are carried out in a very flexible, while they appear linear here, they are non-linear. You could go back from, you start with empathizing, you could jump to, you definitely need to go through the defining, ideate, and prototype and test in a more sequential manner. But once you test it, you then, based on the feedback of the test, you could either go back, you may need to go back to the beginning of the funnel in empathizing again, or we didn't understand the customer properly, or you may need to define the problem, or you may need to have better ideation, or you may need to tweak a prototype. So it's a flexible process. You can choose from testing to go wherever the requirement is in a non-linear fashion. So having looked at the methodology to digitize the core, what do we do next? In the next module, we will look at the real life things of where do you begin in your organization? If you're an organization who is currently a legacy organization, if you're a startup, if you're a fresh company, there's not much challenge. You can start anywhere that you want to start. But if you have a legacy business and you have customers, you have systems in the company, the question is where to start digitizing the core and how to organize that. And that's the theme of our next lecture. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on digitizing the core. I hope you're beginning to learn something new again. You're beginning to enjoy, and I look forward to see you again in the next lecture.